from the time that you were all warriors. Congratulations again on your nomination into the initial class of the WacSHoF High School Athletic Hall of Fame. At this time, I'd like to introduce former Principal Dr. David Hamill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George, and congratulations to all our inductees, coaches, and players, our student athletes. It's an honor to see you guys here today. We're excited to celebrate you. At this time, I have the privilege of introducing our district staff and our board members. Our board members that are here, if you'll please stand as I announce your name. Dr. Mike Cafaro, Ms. Lynn Ford, Miss Patty Hamill, and Mr. Randy Walker. And I also have the privilege tonight of introducing our district staff, our superintendent, Mr. Keith Price, our assistant superintendent, Mr. Tyrone Davis, and our executive director of communications, Ms. Christy Kibler. Again, thank you all for being here tonight, and I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. George so we can talk about the real stars of the show tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hamill. Thank you, district staff and board members, for your attendance here tonight. Just a little background on how we started the Hall of Fame here at WacSHoF High School. Mr. Keith Brown, who you will hear from later on tonight, he and I worked on putting this together along with conjunction with our first, basically initial board. But the purpose of the WacSHoF High School Athletic Hall of Fame was to recognize and honor the athletes, coaches, administrators, and supporters who excelled in their respective sports or coaching support roles and who helped to bring honor, recognition, distinction, and excellence to Waccamaw by their conduct both on and off the field or court of competition. This recognition will help maintain the spirit, pride, and sense of community, as well as serving as a historical account of the great athletic traditions at Waccamaw High School. So those who were inducted and eligible had to meet these three criteria. So athletes that were eligible for nomination were 10 years after the first year that they were honored or earned any individual state championship or national award. For coaches or administrators, they would be eligible for nomination beginning 5 years after they left the service of Waccamaw High School for any reason or in special circumstances as determined by the committee members. And then number 3 is determined by the committee members, volunteers, sponsors, or administrators will also be considered for nomination based upon their service and dedication to the athletic programs at the school. So those were just some of the parameters on how we were nominating the initial class. And we will talk a little bit more about how you can nominate for the future. But at this time, I'd like to turn it over to one of our co-athletic directors, Mr. Chris Overby, and he will recognize the Hall of Fame committee members. Mr. Overby.
Thank you. It's an honor and privilege to be here tonight, and I would like to take a moment to introduce the people who came out and worked on this committee to get this group of athletes and coaches together for this very first class. So if you'd please stand when I call your name. Keith Brown, Dennis Lee, Joel Cribb, Tyrone Davis, Marty Stewart, Adam George, Ernie Stokes, Dr. David Hamill, and Coach Scott Striker. And now we'll begin the ceremony part of this where we honor the coaches and the athletes, and we'll start first with our coaches, and introducing them will be former coach Scott Striker.
First, I'd like to congratulate our athlete inductees. I think I taught every one of you, actually. And to you and your families who have supported you, very great congratulations to all of you. It's an honor and privilege for me to introduce and present our inaugural class of coaches to the WacSHoF High School Athletics Hall of Fame. I was very fortunate to work with and actually for all three of our inductees over the years. So when Mr. Brown gave me the opportunity to present the coaches in the ceremony, I thought, man, this is going to be great because I've been retired for 2.5 years and haven't had anyone to talk to. So I thought, man, they said 5:30 and a little bit of food and some introductions and then halftime of the football game, and I'm looking at my watch, it's 5:40. I said, there's going to be time to fill. So I got all these stories, and hopefully we'll get you out there by halftime. I'm just kidding. I'm going to tell one story about one of the experience that I've had with each of the coaches. But what an exciting night. And I might add just one other thing. I've been the one person who has consistently, over the past 30 years, has said that we need a WacSHoF High School Alumni Association. We need a WacSHoF High School museum and a gift shop out in front, and we need a Hall of Fame. So this is really, really exciting to be part of this tonight. So I am going to introduce him, and with the help of Mr. Brown and Mr. George, present awards to our coaches that are being inducted. Many of you may not know that Coach James Brown originally came to WacSHoF High School as the head basketball coach, and he also was the head football coach in 2002 and 2003. And I just have one quick story I want to share about Coach Brown, because I worked with Coach Brown as a football coach. Our football program actually had some lean years back then, but I shared a night with Coach Brown that you really cannot make up. It was Halloween night, full moon, 2003, and we had not won a game over the course of a couple seasons. And the final game of the year that year was Ainer, and Coach Brown kind of changed up the mentality and said, we're just going to pound them, pound them, pound them. And it was quite a night. We got the lead, and we get to halftime, and we come back out for the second half, and I don't know where all the people came from, and it was right around the time that cell phones started, and everyone was calling their friends to come to the stadium because we had the lead at halftime, and it was unbelievable how the crowd built and the excitement, and it's one of the only times I've ever seen, and certainly the only time here, that everyone stormed the field at the end of the game when we won and tore down the goalpost. And it's not very often you see that in a high school football game. And I still have the newspaper with Coach Brown with his fist raised in the air when we won that game that night. And he actually had the goalpost cut up into pieces and presented pieces of the goalpost that we retrieved to give to the players. So that was a very, very exciting night. But Coach Brown was our boys basketball coach and led the team to a region championship in 1997. 5 times state champion boys tennis coach, 13 times region champion, 13 times coach of the year. He was the South Carolina Tennis Association State Coach of the Year in 2008 and 9, and the South Carolina Coaches Association Tennis President in 2009 through 2011. Overall record of 241 and 21 with the boys, 4 girls state champions, 6-time region coach of the year, and an overall record of 93 and 25. So his overall tennis record was 334 and 46. So obviously Coach Brown moved on from basketball and football, and it was a great thing for our tennis program. And he did a phenomenal job over the years, and I still consider Coach Brown a very good friend. We don't see each other as much as we used to. But Coach Brown, if you would come up here, we would like to present you with a plaque as one of the inaugural members of the WacSHoF High School Athletic Team. Congratulations once again, Coach Brown.
We called him Raw Dog. And Raw Dog was a really tough kid. So we told our kids all week during the week of the Georgetown game that Raw Dog was the Bulldog daddy. So I went and had shirts printed up. They all wore them underneath the shirt, under shoulder pads. And we beat Georgetown out here. And when the game was up with, all our kids took off the pads and just shirt on. I got probably 100 phone calls and letters from Georgetown people cussing me out. How dare you? Thank you, Scott.
He was All-State in football, playing both linebacker and fullback, and then added the word punter on the end of his title. He was a Coastal Observer track athlete for the Toast to the Coast in 1999. And after starting out at a small college after WacSHoF with no athletics, he went to the University of South Carolina for his last 3 years of college, started on the rugby team, and successfully walked on to the football team as a linebacker in his senior year. Ladies and gentlemen, Brett Green. In soccer for several years, which became even more impressive because WacSHoF did not have a girls soccer team at the time. So she played on the boys soccer team, and from the account I got from Coach Schoen, was pretty dominant on the boys soccer team. She would go on to play soccer at Clemson and then later professionally, and we're very proud to announce Delia Arrington.
Can I add one more thing to that list? We did not have a track at that time either. We didn't have a track.
My, how things have changed. It's incredible.
We were at the region championship, and it was her senior year, and she was running the 100. She was also doing the long jump, triple jump, and then on the she decided that she didn't want to run the 100 meters, and I told her she had to. I said, you qualified now, you got to do it. So she goes there, and when she got right at the end of the thing, to the end line, she was ahead. Well, she slows down so that she wouldn't, hoping that she wouldn't make it. And of course, across the finish line, I walked up to her and she said, Coach, I'm so sorry I didn't make it. She said, I was running so hard. I done you differently, and I just looked down and smiled. I said, but you did make it. You were the third one.
That's awesome. Our third recipient.
So we thank all of you who have dedicated time and commitment into representing your school, both in the role of a coach and as a player. And I have to thank Coach Overbeek and Mr. George. When I got the invitation to come, I was really excited about it, and there's nothing more awesome than showing up and seeing that you have a place to provide remarks on the agenda when you get here. So I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I try to never miss an opportunity to say a few words. But congratulations to the inaugural class of the Waccamaw High School Athletic Hall of Fame. I think this is such an incredible event because of the significance of it. First, it validates your performance and your contribution as coaches and as athletes in the way you represented yourself, your school, your team, your school district, and your community. But secondly, it's also about what Coach Stryker mentioned earlier, is about the legacy that you have left. By being an inaugural class member, you're leaving a mark for the coaches and the young athletes that follow you. You give them something to aim for. And you may not realize how significant that is, but I promise you it is, that once people see a mark of excellence, they strive to meet that mark. And you have helped set a mark for many athletes and many coaches to follow for many, many, many years to come. And all of you are to be commended for that and to be thanked for that, because not only of what you did while you were here, but the way you did it while you were here. My story in athletics, I've always considered myself an athlete. I don't know that anyone else does. I grew up playing baseball, football, and golf. And so when I started playing football, I started in the Pop Warner League, worked my way up and got into middle school ball. And my last year playing football, I was 8th grade, and I was the 3rd string quarterback. In modern day terms, you would call me the scout team quarterback. I was the one who got out there and let the first string offense or defense kind of beat up on. So I think in my 8th grade year, I got on the field for 3 snaps. It wasn't in quarterback position, it was defensive end. Didn't know what I was doing, but I went out there and gave it my best for 3 plays. And then I realized that maybe football wasn't best for me. I played baseball from T-ball up through 9th grade. Started as catcher, then I moved out the pitcher, but I didn't have the kind of success that Wesley did. He struck people out. I gave up too many home runs. So they moved me to first base, and I couldn't produce any home runs. So they moved me to the outfield, and I watched as I moved from left field around to right field. And if you know about the baseball lineup in youth league, if you don't have many left-handed hitters, the right fielder doesn't get much action. And so that's where I was doing the least amount of damage playing baseball. So I learned that baseball probably wasn't the best for my future either. So I switched to golf, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Was able to letter in golf 11th and 12th grade year. Was really proud of that, but never broke 80 in any competition. So while I love athletics, I've never been all that great at it. But one thing I do recognize is how important it is to young people in their growth, in their development, in their education. And so our motto that we adopted this year is hard work pays off. And I think that all of you are symbols of that motto. And I just want to say one more time, congratulations to the inaugural class of the Waccamaw High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Your hard work